Welcome back, Peace family. Welcome back to Live Inside the Booth. I'm your host, Marland Lowe. Got another good one for you today. Again, as always, I'm excited to just to be in front of you all, to share the time with you all, for y'all to be able to join me inside the booth as well. This today we're going to talk about just low major, mid major, high major players. We're going to talk about the portal. Now, the transfer portal within the NCAA. But now, check this out. Not only that, we're gonna make a lot of NBA references as well today. So it's going to kind of vary, but you're going to get the gist of what the communication is before anything. By the end of this, you'll get the gist of it. Okay, we're not going to keep you long. Going to keep you here for maybe 15, 20 minutes at the most, I guess, unless some of y'all have some comments in the section, and we'll go back and forth and talk about that. But do me a favor again, as always. If you just watch this for the first time, you can tune in for us with us for the first time. Hit that subscribe button at the bottom so you can get notifications on when we'll be going live. Follow us on Twitter at Inside Booth on Twitter, and hit the share button when you can. When you can't hit that share button, if you feel like it's you're hearing something that's positive or something that you can use, hit that share button. Let your people on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and all these other social media sites know what you're watching and get a chance to get some of the same information that you're getting. Also, boom, thumbs up, hit that like button. Help us to expand what we're doing and reach bigger and broader audiences as well. Let me recap my last Inside the Booth session. Last Inside the Booth session, right? I had Rashad Phillips in here, man. And as you all know, down south and many in the east, y'all saw the storm and the weather was going down. So our session was kind of broke up, man. I hadn't had that before. I was really kind of bummed out behind that because I've been looking forward to speaking with Rashad for a long time. So, but check this, I'm gonna tell y'all, for Rashad Phillips, for y'all, if you want some inside information, insight, not just information, insight on how things are, and get some understanding on how other people look at the game, you need to follow Rashad on Twitter. It's RP3 Natural on Twitter. Like, he drops jewels all the time to let you know to listen. All these people that you seeing on these big networks and stuff like that, nah, he's got his 7-point plan on what it takes for the guys where his assessment on being in the league. We're gonna get him back on here, and hopefully we're gonna have some continuous shows where we're able to get back on and dialogue. Just not just he and I, but we're gonna communicate a little bit more on that. He knows what I'm talking about. But for sure. And he got a Sports Talk 2319 on YouTube. Check that out, sportstalk2319.com as well. So shout out to Rashad, man. I appreciate that, man. I really support. I really like what he's doing, and I'm pretty sure if y'all follow him, y'all gonna really enjoy his message and what he's putting out there on players from college and even in the league, and his thoughts. And it's got to be GMs and NBA people all over the country that's watching what he does, because he's been spot on a lot. But look, let's get into this session right here, right? Let's get into this session right now of Inside the Booth. So y'all know what's happening. I want to talk about, first of all, let me put this out here. This is not to discredit any high major schools or any high major players. This is not to discredit them at all. So I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to discredit anybody. But what's up, Ball So Hard? What's happening? Everything's good, man. I hope you're well. Keep peeping this, man. So if you got some questions or comments, make sure you hit the comment section and respond. But no, check this out. What I wanted to get in is this, and this is what people don't talk about. As you know, in the for the NBA Finals this year, we have a lot of guys in there. We got the Western Conference Finals, which is going to be Portland versus Golden State Warriors. In the Eastern Conference Finals, we have the Toronto Raptors versus, guess what? Milwaukee Bucks. It's crazy, right? Who would have guessed? Everybody would have definitely guessed Golden State at the beginning of the year. Many people would, Rashad has some good names as well when he's been putting them on when he was talking about it. But look, notice off the top, everybody can't be Zion Williamson, Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, Christian Laettner, Anthony Davis, Jason Kidd, Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Webber, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, or Pistol Pete. everybody can't be those guys going into college. Everybody can't be those special guys. Those guys were kind of the anomalies for college basketball. Like they were great in college basketball. So going in, everybody was looking at them and trying to put them as those type of dudes. And they created that type of a lane for themselves as well. So, but when we start talking about what's going on right now, pay attention to this as we get ready to get into these levels part. You got CJ, arguably the best backcourts off the bounce and is on the West Coast, which could be CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard. Okay. Both of those guys went to mid-major schools. Both of them went to mid-major schools. McCollum went to Lehigh and Dame Lillard went to Weber State. Okay. Now, then you go down below that, which is you take Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Now, Steph Curry went to Davidson. Klay Thompson went to Washington State, which was in the Pac-10 at the time. It's a high major conference, right? However, Klay never made the NCAA tournaments. I think he went to the NIT like 2, maybe 3 years, okay? And he came out, I believe, after his junior year. But they were at the bottom. They were at the bottom of the conference, respectfully. Now you take Toronto and you go in and look at Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi went to San Diego State, mid-major, another mid-major. They got Sterling Brown, who started a couple games this year, I believe, from Milwaukee and getting minutes, went to SMU, another mid-major. Going back to Toronto, guess who we got? We got Fred VanVleet, right? Fred VanVleet's averaging 28 minutes a game for Toronto. This is his 3rd year. And he started 28 games this year. He started 28 games this year in Toronto, right? So, again, if you're watching, hit that thumbs up, man. Hit that share button. Let some people know that they need to get plugged in right now inside the booth because it's going down, right? And they'll watch later on, but they're going to get some good information out of this. But so where am I at? Fred VanVleet, right? Now, going forward, let's look at Ja Morant. Ja Morant is at Murray State. Ja Morant was doing, look what he was doing this season. Would he ever had those same options at a high major school? Would he had the opportunity at a high major school to put himself at that level? Not sure. All we know is that he did his thing at a mid-major and where he was able to play early, often, and through mistakes. That's what we know about Ja Morant, is that he did at a mid-major where he was able to play early, often, and through mistakes. Now, low major and mid-major kids that average low major, this the part for the parents and to be listening. Low major and mid-major kids that average like 10 points a game as freshmen, they usually get transfer offers from high major schools, especially the mid-majors. They usually get transfer offers from high major schools, okay? And how we know this? Let's take an example. Number one, the first example that we're going to talk about is a guy that played at Tulane and then transferred to the University of Texas. That's Dylan Osikowski, right? He began his career at Tulane in the American Conference, and he led the American Conference in offensive rebounds. So he showed his value and was given the opportunity to transfer from a mid-major to a high major, from a mid-major to a high major. See, that's the thing, and that's what this conversation is about today. Listen, it's okay to pick a low major school where you're able to get on the court and play a lot. It's okay to pick a mid-major school where you're able to be on the floor and play a lot. Because when you play a lot at those low major, mid-major schools, guess what? You got those guys at the highest level, at the high major level, looking down. They're looking and watching what you're doing, and they're seeing if your skill translates to that level, right? So many times we want to, as parents and as players, because we're not giving them the proper knowledge of how to view things and break things down. As many times we want to put our kids at the highest level right off the top. We want our guys to play at the highest level. We want them to go to a high major right off the top. And their talent is not, like I said earlier, a Zion Williamson, a Kevin Durant, a Shaquille O'Neal, Christian Laettner, or Pistol Pete, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. You know, their talent is not at that level yet. So if we send them to a high major, more likely they're just going to sit. They're going to sit And I don't want to hear the conversation because this is a different conversation for another day. If you're going to sit back and tell me that we just went to that school for the education, we went to that school to get the degree. That ain't it, man. That ain't it. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's not go there. All right. That's not it at all. You're not picking a school to go there for the education off the top. The first thing that when you're picking a school for is because you want to be able to play. You want to be able to play. So again, that was another great example with Dylan Osakowski. He picked a mid-major school first, right? And he went in there and showed his value. He led the American in offensive rebounds. And because of that, he was given the opportunity to show his value and transfer up to high major, right? I'm going to give you another example that people don't even talk about. People don't even talk about, they don't even think about this. All they do is they know that he's Steph Curry's little brother. They know he's a spot-up shooter right now, catch-and-shoot guy with the Portland Trail Blazers, but they don't really know all about him or his past. Listen, we're going to talk about Seth Curry, right? Seth Curry. Seth Curry played at Duke. But what most people don't realize is Seth Curry started out at Liberty University. Seth Curry started out at Liberty University. As a freshman, he averaged 20.2 points per game as a freshman at Liberty. 20.2 points per game as a freshman at Liberty. And then what he did was he transferred to Duke and wound up being kind of a role player at Duke, right? And one of the guys who he split minutes with when he got there was the people that we even know ourselves as Rashid Suleiman, right? Rashid was at Duke already, and he had to start splitting minutes with Seth Curry when he got there. Seth Curry started out at Liberty University and averaged 20 points a game as a freshman. People totally forget that. And then he transferred to Duke. He transferred up a level because of where he was at. And when he transferred up, he became a role player, but he was at Duke. He probably would have never made the NCAA tournament if he'd have stayed at Liberty. However, same thing with Dylan Osakowski that went to Texas and some other guys. When you at a low major or mid major and you show your value and you're averaging 10 points plus a game as a freshman, or you're doing all this rebounding, that's when the high major schools come in and give you an offer to transfer up because you showed your value. But now Seth Curry, he didn't have Duke, or Dylan Osakowski didn't have Texas as a senior in high school going into their freshman year because the people didn't think they were good enough. But what they did was they went to that mid-major school and low major, if you want to call Liberty that, and they showed their value first, and then they transferred up, okay? That's what people are missing. That's what people are missing. We want to jump to the highest offer first, and that's where we're totally missing that is because everybody wants to go to the highest offer first. When these guys have showed their value, they went to low major schools, they went to mid-major schools, and then they transferred up. That's some of the narrative that we got to start pushing to some of these young guys and some of these parents. Give them these examples. Dylan Osakowski from Tulane, there's plenty more. Those are the two that I'm thinking about right now, was that he led the American in rebounding, like I said again. And then guess what? Because of that, he got an opportunity to go to Texas. Seth Curry, and let's go a little bit deeper on Seth Curry right now. He went to Liberty University as a freshman, averaged 20.2 points per game. Look it up. And because of that, what those numbers he put, he got the attention of those high major guys, and then he transferred to Duke. Now, and like I said, he probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. Now, if Steph Curry, his older brother, had been doing what he's doing at the Golden State Warriors before Seth had transferred to Duke, right? He would have been given the same opportunities as Steph Curry. Meaning, like, those GMs would have been like, yo, look at his brother and what he's doing now. And this kid is doing the same thing at Liberty. We can't pass him up. We got to give it. We can't miss out on him as well. He'd been given the same thing because he played at a low major and he showed his value. And then when he left, he still had value, but he wound up being taken instead of being that guy at a mid-major, at a low major, he wound up being a role player at a high major university. You want to go to a school and you want your child to pick a school where they're able to be on the court to show their value, be on the floor and play. All right. And that's one of the biggest decisions, whether it's a low major, whether it's a mid major, whether it's a high major. appreciate and value every offer that you get, every opportunity that you get. And don't just assume that you need to go to a high major because it validates you. What it can do is it can move you off to the side and let it, like Rasheed Suleiman went to Duke, it moved him off to the side because when Seth Curry proved his value at Liberty, now he had to split minutes with Rasheed, and Rasheed had to split minutes with Seth at Duke now, right? Because this guy showed his value at playing at a collegiate level already. Rasheed's my guy. Giving pointers right now, just pointing things out. Because all it does is show that you can start off at a low major or mid-major university, and with 1 or 2 years of playing experience, you can become a high major player. Think about that. You can start off at a low major or mid-major university, and with 1 or 2 years of playing experience, you can show that, boom, you're a high major player right now. What you say, Chuck? Let me see what you got. You say, Lowe, with all the kids that you've coached, did you help those players decide and guide them on their college decision, or did you tell parents what to look out for and let them make their own decision? That's a great question. That's a great question. I didn't help all of them. Because a lot of them feel like they got other people, other sources to help them. What I did was I got 2 players that I actually helped and to make decisions, and told them that I was totally involved in that transferred. Only 2 that transferred. I've helped a lot. The rest of the ones that I've helped, they still making money. They still playing basketball. They're making money overseas, or they're in the NBA right now. But I've only helped 2 guys that transferred. And when they transferred, they had high major offers, but they decided to go to mid-major universities. So one was Daniel House, who's currently with the Houston Rockets. Daniel is the only freshman in the history of the University of Houston to get Freshman of the Year, right? Then when they got a new AD that came in, it had nothing to do with Kelvin Sampson. When they got a new AD that came in, they gave other people their release, and then he and Tayshaun Thomas, they didn't allow them to even sniff school, so they made them go through something. So long story short, Daniel wound up going to Texas A&M. He transferred up, first team SEC, boom. So he did it. Tayshaun Thomas had Minnesota with Tubby Smith was at Minnesota then. So he had those all, but he decided to stay close in the region. He went to Houston, had a phenomenal career. Then when he transferred, he went to Oklahoma at Big 12 newcomer of the year. So I do help guys for the parents that ask. I'm involved. If they don't ask me, I stay out of it. It's not my business, because that means they probably got somebody else, or they probably think they know what they're doing. And I don't have a problem with that. But for the guys that I've helped, all of them play early, often, and through mistakes when they get to college. All of them. It'll come back on me at some point in time where all of them don't. I hope not. But I've helped those guys. I've helped some guys. Going back to what I was saying, though, about just picking the right school at the right time. We got to stop pushing high major all the time, because everybody's not a high major as a freshman. Now, when you go somewhere and you produce and you show value, boom, now those high major schools come in, okay? Now, let's talk about this transfer portal also, because the transfer portal is huge. People's not talking about the transfer portal, right? Like right now, there's many kids that cannot commit to a school or garner even an offer because of all the kids that are in the transfer portal right now. Think about that. There are many kids in high school right now that can't get that can't commit. They got an offer, but they can't commit. Or there's a lot of kids that have the offer already, or excuse me, some people can't even get an offer, but they can't commit because of all these schools that are looking at these kids in the transfer portal right now. What do those schools want? Those schools want guys who have the experience of playing Division I basketball, understanding what that grind is like, and they want to bring those guys in first. They want to bring those guys in first before they take the commitment of a high school kid. Again, unless you're an anomaly, unless you're a Zion Williamson, unless you're a Chris Webber, who was something like that, unless you're Shaquille O'Neal, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, unless you're those type of guys like a Christian Laettner, then they'll take that commitment right away. But if not, they're going to wait to see what guys in this transfer portal they want first. Those guys are proving themselves. They got the value, and they're going to go into a high major with a chip on their shoulder, knowing that they need to continue to prove that this school was right by offering me this opportunity to transfer up, and the other school, I thank them for giving me the offer, but these other schools missed out. So they're going to be walking around with a chip on their shoulder for a long time, right? They're going to be walking around with a chip on their shoulder. So that's just something to think about when you start talking about about helping kids to decide on what level they should go to. We got to stop pushing these kids to all these mid-major schools or just because that's their biggest offer. CJ McCollum went to Lehigh, and you heard what he said the other day. If you didn't watch his interview, he's doing this for all the mid-majors in the country that got looked over and went to Lehigh, and he's showing it for them. Dame Lillard went to Weber State, okay? Those two, look at that backcourt, man. Arguably the best backcourt in the league. And now they're about to go against another arguably the best backcourt in the league in Steph Curry at Davis, who went to Davidson, and Klay Thompson, who went to Washington State, which was in the Pac-10, but they were at the bottom, right? Never made the NCAA tournament while he was there. So we got to start pushing these kids to help them understand levels. Many of us as adults have to understand what levels are. Many people do not understand what levels are, okay? Many people don't understand what levels are. And when you hear this, when you see this video or hear this back, play it again to somebody else, hopefully it helps them to understand the importance of picking levels. And like I said, look at Fred VanVleet for Toronto. He went to a mid-major school in Wichita State. They're mid-major school in Wichita State, Missouri Valley. Guess what? 3 years later, he's averaging 28 minutes a game with the Toronto Raptors, and he started 28 games this year for the Toronto Raptors. Fred VanVleet. I mean, what else can you say? Sterling Brown went to SMU at the American Conference also. He started a game, and he's playing minutes for the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay? Kawhi Leonard was at San Diego State. He's arguably the best player in the NBA right now. Definitely top three. I don't care how you put it, right? And so he went to a mid-major. These guys played early, often, and through mistakes, and we keep pushing all these guys to the high majors. Look at the guys on all of those teams who were high majors. Not only that, but let's talk about this. Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? He came from Europe. Okay? Think about it. Their best player came from Europe. The best players on these other teams were mid-major players. Think about that. Let's take KD out, because I told you Kevin Durant is an anomaly. Anomaly comes only so often. But the best players on all of these teams that's in the NBA Finals right now were mid-major players or came from overseas. Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum. KD is an anomaly, period. None of us hardly have any anomalies. Outside, before KD got there, their best player was Steph Curry, mid-major, right? Kawhi Leonard, mid-major. Okay? Bucks, Giannis, overseas, Europe. We have to know levels. It's okay to go to a mid-major as long as you're going to play early, often, and through mistakes. And when you go to a mid-major and you average like 10 plus points a game as a freshman, if that's possible, now you're going to have those other schools coming. And that's the reason why a lot of kids, they might have offers right now, but they can't many high major schools are not going to take those commitments right now because of all the hundreds of almost 1,000 kids that are in the NCAA portal right now to transfer. They rather take some of those kids that's going to transfer, right? Because they know that they got that experience already. They started out at a mid-major school, and now they got that experience. Think about and we hadn't even talked about grad transfers. We talking about the portal right now. We hadn't even talked about grad transfers. Grad transfers are the same thing. If they got a good nucleus, a good core, if these schools, and they want to make sure that they have a good run for next year, they're going to take a grad transfer to come in right away, and they're going to wait for this high school kid. We got to stop pushing, and whether it's the parents, whether it's scouting services, whether it's summer coaches, we got to remember that it's not just cool to push all these kids to high major universities. That ain't it. For real. That ain't it. And like I said before, if you want to tell me that we going to a school just because we want the degree, all right, cool. You can tell me that. But I'm gonna let you have that as a family. But listen, your kid going to a school because he wants to play basketball. Your kid's going to a school because he wants to play basketball. Degree, he doesn't understand the importance of degree or life after it, but he's going to the school because he wants to play basketball. Period. And if you send him to a high major school and he's not playing basketball, he's sitting on the bench, and he may get distracted by other things. You got to remember, those coaches cannot renew his scholarship. So guess what? Now he's gonna go to another school. Speaking of going to other schools, y'all got to miss me. Listen to me. Tell this to your kids so that we can get rid of this right now. But I'm not hating on nobody. But y'all gonna miss me with this I'm coming back home stuff. I went to a school way out on another side, and now I got out here and I couldn't play like I wanted to. So guess what? I'm coming home. I'm going to this school back in the state of Texas. I'm going to this school back here, and I'm coming home. No, you coming home because you shouldn't have been gone, right? So now you understand the value of picking the right level in the school also. So stop with all them edits on that stuff right there, talking about or these announcements, I'm coming home. Stop it. Pick the right school from the beginning. Pick the right school from the beginning. So I think that's about it, man. I got one question from Chuck. I answered that question. Let's see. But listen, even if you're still watching, Chuck, I always, if I tell a kid what they should do or where they should go, and their parents ask me, I give them two or three choices, and I give them the best one. If they say they want to do something different, I don't say anything. But for I had 22 guys playing Division I school playing this year, but for all the guys that I've helped personally, when the parents say, "Lowe, we need you to help us make this decision," I've had 2 transfer, and they went from Player of the Year they went transferred up to the SEC. The other one went from and got transferred up to the Big 12 and got Big 12 Newcomer of the Year. So my guys don't yeah, Ashley, I'm coming home. Like, right, really? You know what I'm saying? But the guys that I've helped, they don't really transfer because sometimes it's better. What we need to understand in this game is better to undersell and over-deliver. Undersell and over-deliver. So if I know he can average 15 or 16 a game, okay, cool. Why not go somewhere where he can probably average, if you know somebody that can average probably about 12 a game in college, looking at them, why not send them somewhere where they can average 16, 18 a game in college? That boosts them up. It makes them look better, and it enhances their value, increases their value, and it makes people be aware of who they are a lot faster. So if they ever had to put their name in the portal, people are going to look at them right away. You know what I'm saying? Right away. No, I appreciate that, Chuck. A lot of student athletes, right? And guess what? All of them graduated. All of them have got degrees. I've only had one player that left school early, which was Jared Allen. The rest of them, even though Isaiah Austin when he left Baylor, but both of them went back and got Isaiah got his degree. Jared's still gonna go back and get his. But everybody else, they got their degrees, they finished college, and boom, they still playing basketball, or I got one that said he was tired of playing basketball, and now he's in corporate America, and one is a school teacher who's coaching right now. He enjoys it. So that's part of the process. But yeah, that's what I wanted to get y'all on right now. I wanted to hit that back as far as is a lot of people that's gonna be telling y'all about what levels they think you should go to. Don't listen to everybody. They don't. Everybody doesn't know. I'm giving you examples. I've gave you names. I've gave you schools. I've given you kids. It's more kids that transfer up from low major to high major and mid major to high major. It's more of those because they showed their value at that level. So as I'm getting ready to close up here, because I know Jim Hicks and Hatter and Chris Walker, they chop shop starting up. I know y'all want to tune into them, but I'm talking basketball. I'm talking giving you straight facts right here. All right, I'm gonna recap what I said right quick so that you can remember this. Again, everybody can't be Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, Christian Laettner, Anthony Davis, Jason Kidd, Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Webber, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Pistol Pete. They can't be those guys in college. Those are anomalies, like sometimes just once every couple generations type of guys, right? So all you guys can't beat them. And then, thank you, Ashley, amen on the degrees. And then the backcourts in the West Coast, CJ McCollum, Dame Lillard, both went to mid-major universities. Both went to mid-majors. Steph Curry went to mid-major. Klay Thompson went to Washington State, which is in a high major conference, but they were at the bottom. He never made the NCAA tournament, but boom, guess what? He's right there, arguably best. The best player in Toronto right now, Kawhi Leonard, boom, went to San Diego State, mid-major, best player. Okay, he got a backcourt guy with him, Fred VanVleet at Toronto, went to Wichita State, mid-major school, averaging 28. He had Fred VanVleet getting 28 minutes a game, and he started 28 games this year, which is his third year in the league. Okay, then we talk about Milwaukee. Giannis, their best player was Europe, came from overseas. Sterling Brown started a game for SMU, which was another mid-major school this year. Look at the league, man. Look at the league. It's all these mid-majors are blowing up all over. They're playing. Why? Because they're going to schools where they can play early, often, and through mistakes. And they go into somewhere where their coach believes in them, not where their summer coach, their high school coach, or their parents can walk around and say, my kid's going to Duke. My kid's going to North Carolina. My kid's going to Texas. My kid's going to Arizona. My kid's going to UCLA. You know what I'm saying? My kid's going to Florida. They ain't worried about that. They going where their kids can play. All right. John Morant, I think they said Murray State was his only offer coming out of South Carolina area. He played with Zion when he was a junior. Zion was a sophomore. So he went to Murray State. Look at what he's doing right now. Look what he's doing right now, period. All we know is that what he's doing right now at a mid-major increased his value dramatically. We don't know if he would have been able to do that he'd have picked at a high major school, because he'd have been having to share and do a lot of that with other guys. But listen, and then we talked about Dylan Osakowski. Dylan Osakowski started out at the American at Tulane, showed his value. He led the league in offensive rebounding. And after that, he got an offer to transfer up to Texas. So then you take somebody, this is a great example. He transferred up to Texas, right? He was sitting out the year that Jared Allen was a freshman at Texas. So the following year, you take one of our local guys, Royce Ham, who did very good around the state of Texas. Royce Ham committed to Texas. So Royce Ham committed to Texas, right? And Dylan Osakowski, who had already shown that he can lead the American in offensive rebounds and was doing well, who do you think is going to play first? A high school kid that has shown no value, or a college guy who's shown his value at a mid-major league, right? At a mid-major school. And now he understands everything that comes with it. And I got this high school kid that's coming up here who hadn't learned anything from about college yet. That's why Royce didn't play. Period. That's why he didn't play. You got a guy that showed his value at a mid-major. Next, though, we talked about Seth Curry. Everybody remembers Seth Curry as knows him as Stefan's little brother, and you remember him from playing at Duke. But what got him to Duke was that he went to Liberty University as a freshman and averaged 20.2 points a game. Look it up. Look it up. As a freshman, he went to Liberty and averaged 20.2 points per game, and he got the attention of everybody else, and especially somebody at Duke, and was like, yo, we need this guy to transfer up right here. And when he transferred up, Rasheed Suleiman was already there, and now them two wound up splitting minutes. Why? Because he showed his value and what he could do. And then if he would have been 2 years behind Steph Curry, even more, I'm talking about before going to Liberty, he probably would have he could have stayed at Liberty and bam, probably would have gotten even more opportunities leaving out of Liberty, because all the NBA GMs would have been like, we can't afford to miss out on on another Curry, because he might be the same or better than his brother. But one thing we know is he can get buckets also. Just like right now in the league, he's in the court. He's on the court with Dame, CJ McCollum, and Seth Curry. They all on the court sometime at the same time. He's shooting over 40% from the three ball. Shooting over 40% from the three ball. I'm just trying to give it to you, man. And these conversations has nothing to do with all these kids that are in the portal right now. For all these high school kids that can't get an offer right now, or even the high school kids that have offers and can't commit right now, they're not taking the commitment right now, because these colleges are looking at these portals, and they're going to try to get these kids who got value first, who've already shown what they can do right now at that collegiate level. We have to be mindful and stop thumbing your nose up at these mid-major and low-major schools. Stop it. Now, all of them ain't good for you. Don't get it twisted, because you still got to be selective on where you go. But you got to be, hey, pay more attention to these mid-major and these low-major schools. Because if a lot of these kids that average these 12 points, I'll give you one of mine, for example. Nigel Pearson has been starting at Texas State since he was a freshman, averaged 13 points a game as a freshman. If he would have transferred after a freshman, he would have transferred to any high major school in the country, almost any high major school, at 90% of the schools in the country. He showed his value. He decided to stay there, which was cool. I had no problem with that. But it wasn't broke for him, so he didn't have to leave. He was cool, and it was helping him continue to develop his overall game instead of going somewhere to a high major school and being a role player. He needed to keep staying there so he could continue to show his guard skills. Period. That's one of my own. I'm talking about him, right? So anyway, that's the conversation for today, man. I hope everybody learned something. I appreciate y'all commenting in the comment section too. Make sure y'all hit that share button for me. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, Tumblr, whatever you got, so that people can see, hopefully get some information out of this. I'm dropping names, and I drop some names, and I drop some numbers for people, so people can sit back and see, like, Lowe ain't just tripping. It's not always about high major. I'm just real talk, but there's not to discredit any high major schools or any high major players also. I'm just saying, but as you see, a lot of these kids that's in this transfer portal right now, they getting all the looks first. They getting all the looks first. All the looks. John Walker was with one of my guys, went to Texas A&M, right? I'm gonna put this out. I didn't have that. I didn't have any input on that. None. But he didn't play a whole lot. Okay. Now he's got to transfer from there. I was about trying to help him to go somewhere where he can continue to get his wiggle on as a freshman. He would have been that much further along than if he ever had to transfer, and it would be wanting him right now. It matters. But hey, it matters. Very good message for young student athlete. Appreciate that, Hoop Source. Appreciate that. It's not just for the athlete. These parents need to hear this. Even some scouting services need to hear that. Like all the local scouting services, they need to watch this and see, because a lot of them don't even know levels. Respectfully, I'm not talking about just locally here in Houston. I'm talking about around the country. A lot of them don't know levels. All they know is, if I put high major, these dudes might try to help me. That's all they know. Okay? You take even there's got to be, even every team got to have a leading scorer. So just because you're the leading scorer on this team doesn't mean that you're a high major player. And even in a certain city, if somebody ranks you as number one, somebody's got to be, even the bad apple, somebody's got to be number 1, 2, or 3. That doesn't mean that you are the same number one as who was number 1 4 years before you. You know what I'm saying? In this probably 4 years ago now, maybe De'Aaron Fox was probably number 1 in the city. We don't have any other De'Aaron Foxes here, but we got certain guys that are ranked number 1. But that don't mean that you're equivalent to De'Aaron Fox, if that makes sense. So that's all I'm saying. So we got to be mindful to help be able to make a fair assessment on levels that people know how to play at any point in time. If y'all want to hit me up and ask me to watch some guys and see what the levels are, my opinion, I don't have a problem with it. I'll tell the truth. And if they go to a higher school, I'm good with that. If they go to a small school, I'm good with that too. I just give my assessment, open assessment. But I always feel like it's a jewel to take with you right now. Whatever level people are pushing you and saying that you are, you probably need to go to a level 1 division lower than that. Oh, he's high major. He's high major. He's high major. You probably need to go to 1 level lower than that. Unless you are one of those anomalies like a Larry Johnson when he was at UNLV, not even Stacey Augmon, but like I said, Michael Beasley, Shaq, those are different dudes. So that's what it is. Again, man, I appreciate y'all for getting plugged in with me on Inside the Booth. Hopefully you're getting some information out of this that can help you to see some things and to share it with other people. I'm gonna start coming on 1, 2, sometime twice a day, sometime in the evening, just be for players. But I'm gonna get some other guys on here. We're gonna dialogue about these type of things. If you know anybody that wants to dialogue about this right now, you want to come on, get inside the booth, holler at me. I can send you a link where I can plug you in and we can be back and forth. But I'm just all about, I like to share information that I get from various sources. I talk to a lot of old heads, man, a lot of ex-college coaches, a lot of current college coaches, NBA guys. I talk to a lot of assistant coaches. And I love just getting people's insight and information because so many people see the same thing from various perspectives. And I take a lot of their opinions and assessments, and I put it in. I put it into my own category based upon the knowledge that I have. And when some people tell me certain things, I was like, yo, that makes sense. Like right off, I don't have to go back and be like, oh, let me check and see this. No, sometimes people tell you things and it just makes sense immediately, right? So there's no need to go back. It makes sense immediately based upon my own history and my own path that I've taken to be where I am right now and help other kids. So that's where it is, man. But again, if you would do me a favor, hit that share button, share it with your friends and colleagues. Don't be hoarding all the information. Don't hoard it. Take the information and share it. Hit that thumbs up button if you're just watching. And next time we get up in here, I need everybody to boom, get into this comment section and let's dialogue. Get into that comment section and let's dialogue. Ashley, you're gonna spell my name right. I appreciate it. It's Marland. Don't you follow me on Twitter? Don't you see that at the top? MAR land. LAND. Is it right? Come on now. No, it's playing, but no, I appreciate that. I'm glad you got some good information. But majority of the kids, it's just about levels. It's important. It's important to us all as leaders and guys who we say that we trying to help kids, make sure we put them in the right spot. But until next time, anytime y'all got something y'all want to talk about or hear an opinion, trust me, I can share it with you. And if I don't have anything, I'm the first one to tell you I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know. But I can find somebody who might know. I can bring them on and let them share their opinion with you so that you'll know who it's coming from, and we'll get their background information so they know. Otherwise, I can do a lot of research and look it up myself. I know where to look. I know where to find things, but that's what it is. Enjoy the day. Enjoy this week. We'll be back on again. If you missed the last segment with Rashard Phillips, man, I apologize for the visual and the viewing on it because it was storming down here last week and it was going in and out. But Rashard Phillips, RP3 Natural. You need to follow him on Twitter, RP3 Natural on Twitter. He gives great insight on basketball, college and NBA. He knows what he's looking at. He's got a phenomenal eye, and he's somebody that immediately you're going to be attracted to, right? It's from a knowledge perspective. He's going to attract you from a knowledge perspective and his insight. Boom, right there. And that's cool, Ashley. You drive and be safe. Hope you got your seatbelt on. But look, and follow him on Sports Talk 2319. Rashard is going to be that guy that can move. He's going to move the needle. Like, we should be expecting him to see him on a lot of major television networks real soon. We should be expecting to see him on a lot of major television networks real soon because he knows what he's talking about. He gave out his 7-point plan as far as his levels of what he looks at in a player. All right. Do I have it right here? I do. I got it. Look, right now, I'm going to tell you what Rashard's numbers was. His 7 points for an NBA player was he looks at their skill set. He looks at their mental temperament. He looks at their stats. All right, their skill set, mental temperament, how they relate, right? He looks at their stats. He tries to look at their projection on where they're at, who they can be, their longevity in the league, how long based upon who they are, their body type and how they play, how long can they last in the league. He gives them the eye test. Or he said, give them the eye test. Like he said, my man, RJ, one man from Duke. You look at the way he run, you know what I'm saying? Looking at the way he run, how he strides and everything else. And finally, out of all of it, which is what he does is analytics. He said, analytics is last. Analytics is last. And it's funny as I come to a conclusion here, if you saw David West tweet last week after our Houston Rockets loss, unfortunately, he said, stop letting nerds tell you how to play the game. Which means that, listen, a lot of these guys are looking at numbers and analytics too much. That does not tell you on what a player is. Their stats does not tell you what a player is. You look at somebody, you tell them they average 25 a game, everybody's going to run and see them. But you got to see who they're playing against. You got to see how they're getting them. Are they getting them all at the rim for layups? or they just running to the corner, just shooting threes, which means he's going to eventually be a catch and shoot guy, or they getting them at all three levels. Okay. This guy's leading the country in rebounding or leading the city in rebounding. How is he getting his rebounds? Is he learning how to rebound out of this area, or all the balls just coming on this, all the plays run on that side and all the balls coming to this side every time? How? Analytics can fool you, man. You got to see it for yourself. You got to see how the kid runs. If they run slew-footed, it's going to be tough because it's hard for them to slow down. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different things that come into play. All right, look, enjoy again, Marlon Lowe. Let me know on Twitter. Give some of your feedback. Again, it's on Twitter. We're at Inside Booth on Twitter. I do tweet from my account sometime, but the good account for this is Inside Booth. We're trying to grow a little bit more. So help us out with that if you can. Follow us, retweet something, and let people know we're here. That's it, y'all. I appreciate it. Be safe. Talk to y'all soon. Be back tomorrow. So we're gonna have more conversations for whatever's going on, especially for high school basketball, college basketball, and then I'm gonna get some guys inside the booth so they can be in it as well. Trust me, I'm gonna get some guys in here that are very knowledgeable. You'll be surprised. All right. Thanks again. Hit that thumbs up button, share it for us. But most importantly, hit subscribe. Talk with you soon.